Happy New Year, everybody. This is Mara Slitica, and I wanted to start doing something a little bit different in the new year, which is to give a read along of the articles that I write, just in case you'd rather listen to this article instead of reading along. And since it's a new year, I want to talk about some of my reflections from the last year and goals. So here we go. Let's go inside a private practice of mine. The end of the year has always been a time of reflection and setting goals. I set aside some quiet time to examine what's worked, what hasn't, and what my goals are for the next year. And this time I will invite you with me. We filmmakers need to build together and put things in perspective. So I hope sharing this will help with that. Now, I want you to get ready because this is going to be a long one. I always start by looking backward. In 2024, much was accomplished, but also there was much left to be done. So let's dive in. This was my second year running the Blended Future Project as a registered LLC. The first year was, barely survivable. The second year, we managed and even made some progress both creatively and financially. And it ended up being the first year that 100% of my income came through my business, which is great. But also has its challenges. Now, we won't get into profit and loss overviews because this isn't a business newsletter, but I will say that officially creating a business has been extremely positive to my filmmaking career, simply because it makes you take it seriously, which helps you focus in the long term rather than simply looking at the project in front of you. You are now thinking about the big picture and building for the future. We had some short film success. Two shorts have continued their festival runs, the first being Gabriella by Evelyn Lorena, which there is a link in the article. And the second is Forbidden Fruit by Isaiah Forte Rose, which there's another link in the article. I produced both of these films back to back in 2022, and they continue to have incredible reach. Gabriella was screened at the Smithsonian Institute, Forbidden Fruit at a local chapter of the NAACP, and each have been accepted into countless festivals. Gabriella qualified for awards consideration, which is an amazing achievement for the team, but more than all the accolades, these two shorts mark the beginning of something important for me. Continuing to tell stories that matter. Gabriella showcased the experience of an undocumented woman. Forbidden Fruit gave us a look inside the life of an unfed child. These are characters and stories we don't hear about very often, or when we do, the focus is on their misery. But even though they have large challenges in their lives, they live each day with grace, determination, and beauty. Their stories are a part of all of us. Then there was the Ukraine documentary saga. So since the middle of 2023, I have been working as an editor and producer for the documentary Creative Force, aka UKR. The film showcases artists in Ukraine that are using their everyday skills to support the war effort. In the middle of last year, Alex LeMay, the director, and I were convinced that we had a finished edit to begin selling. But then we had an actual screening. An audience of 50 people were not connecting with one of the major elements of the story, and normally us filmmakers would say, this is my story, I'm going with my gut. But when you hear a reaction from everyone, you have to realize there's a pattern and you owe it to your film to listen. This involved a slightly new approach, but also meant, in a sense, starting over. Now, as the year has come to an end, the film is in a much better place, and we even had a few interested buyers for the new year. Concrete River. I have been writing a script for what feels like a decade. It's called Concrete River, and it's a feature film about an unhoused hip-hop music producer who tries to reconnect with his estranged daughter, but meets a teenage drifter that changes the way he sees the world. It's a story about the America we encounter every day, the part we want to forget or look past, but like Gabriella and Forbidden Fruit, we are going to that dark, hidden place to show people who hope, dream, and build community despite their circumstances. The script received 2 finalist considerations and is currently ranked in the top 20% on Coverfly. I got a deck made for it, hired a casting director, and began building some momentum. But I had to take a little break because I wasn't sure how to proceed exactly. I'd been speaking with my DP, who gave me the idea for the story about making a short version, which has been written, and my casting director began looking for talent to make it. But with a budget of around $20,000 or so to shoot the short, the question remained, was this the right thing to do? Should I simply be focusing on making the feature instead? So there's a lot of overthinking about what the right way forward is for Concrete River, and I found the answers, which I'll reveal later on. I also wrote a screenplay about love. Now, before the Blended Future Project was a company, it was a blog where I wrote about being multicultural. After a year, I put out a call for short stories by other authors to go on the blog, which I would like to do again later. One of them really stood out, a 20-page true story titled Someone Like Me about a Navy vet's first true love, which also happened to be her first interracial relationship. I reached out to the author and received permission to develop her story into a film, which finally began last year. I tried to write this script on my own, but quickly got overwhelmed. There was simply too much story for me to wrap my head around, so I asked another longtime collaborator, Chris Hall, to help. And we got a great first draft done before the end of the year, in just a few weeks cumulatively of work. Last year, I tried a lot of things. I started this Substack, tried consulting, got a few more editing projects, and I came away with the following focus. I want to tell stories about people and culture. Storytelling has always been my strength, and I believe it can change the world. So this upcoming year, I will be doubling down on telling stories that help us understand people. I'll be playing to my strengths, and with that, let's move on to next year's goals. Improving the skill set. I've always continued to learn. Filmmaking is a craft that can always be improved upon. There are more skills I want to learn in the world of post-production, specifically motion graphics and color work. I want to get back to directing actors more, since it's something I haven't done in quite a while. And I want to conquer what has been somewhat of my Achilles heel, cameras. Working with cameras has been hit or miss for me. I definitely know my way around them, but I'm not quite confident in my camera work yet, which is surprising given how great my father was at using them. But the improvement isn't just with the technical skills of filmmaking. To me, it means continuing to connect with people, both old and new, and having great experiences. Continuing therapy and making sure my mental health is in order, and also getting back in the habit of exercise. The skill set is not just about getting better at your craft, but getting the best out of life. This year, Creative Force will be released into the greater world. We are close to finishing the edit of the full 90-minute version, but we also have a pending screening for a 60-minute version at Notre Dame at the beginning of this year. This film is going to be distributed very much in a hybrid model, mixing traditional and grassroots methods to screen it for audiences. With a film as important as this one, we want to ensure we're getting the message out there and making an impact. And as this process moves along, I'll be giving frequent updates on what we're doing and how it's working. Shooting Concrete River, after months of overthinking, the universe forced my hand. Part of the film involves the creation of a song. Our hero, Travis, is listening and remixing a song that he wants to give to his daughter, Noelle. Now, I frequently make playlists to write. During this process, I stumbled upon the song that was absolutely perfect for how Noelle would sound. The artist's name is Lexa Gates, and I thought it would be amazing if her song was Noelle's. So I asked my casting directors to reach out with no expectations of what would come of it. I was sitting on the couch watching Netflix on my laptop over the holiday break when I received a phone call from a Los Angeles number that I did not recognize. It was Miriam, my casting director, and she announced, much to my surprise, that Lex's team was very interested. They had seen the deck and wanted to know more, which is, again, why decks are important. The next step is to meet with Lexa on Zoom and see how we get along, but it let me know that Concrete River has to be a priority this year. And now I'd like to put a face to the name. I've had a Blended Future YouTube channel for a little over a year, but it's mostly been abandoned. As we created more press around Gabriella, the channel gained a little traction, mostly from the trailer, which has been seen over 3,000 times, I think, by the time you'll listen to this. So again, I think this is a sign that I should pay more attention to creating videos and using YouTube to grow a presence, not just as an advertisement of what I'm making, but for the same goal that I have with these articles and what you're listening to now, to provide a blueprint on building a non-dependent ecosystem for filmmakers. Which leads us to notes from the field. I know that films can create empathy and change the world, and they can do that by presenting the truth as it is. But we also need to have the truth and the data in order to make that happen. Deja Henry, a frequent collaborator and a fellow Substacker, yes, that is a word, and I have been speaking about how filmmakers need a space to get inspiration, share data and information in order to build their own ecosystems. She mentioned how scientists will share their findings in order to advance the medium because it's for the greater good. But filmmakers are conditioned to hoard what we know in order to make sure we're getting the best deal. Deja and I want to change that and use Substack as the platform to do so. We're still figuring out how it will work exactly, but as soon as it's ready, we will let you all know. Which leads me to the road ahead. There's more ahead for me, but these are the major points. The key focus is to continue building and connecting. The world tells us that it's every person for themselves, but the truth is we're stronger together than we are apart. I was just speaking with Alex LeMay the other day, and we both said that now is the time to say yes, within reason. Find your focus and say yes. Say yes to growing. Say yes to learning. Say yes to helping. Think 10 years ahead and reaping your rewards and just keep pushing. Take it from me, you'll be pleasantly surprised with the results.